And also in the next paragraph saying, in the Dharma terms, a center place is wherever the Dharma, the teaching of the Lord Buddha, exists. That is we call the central place of the Dharma. Exist in all other regions are said to be peripherals. And it is like a peripheral, and it is like a similarity to say barbarian, or maybe it is a little bit kind of the like a corrupted and a country we can to say, because it's like there's not much positive activities, like all the times war, killing, stealing, and like destroying each others, and taking away each other's belonging through the force, through the rubber, through the like kind of like this. And this kind of, we can to say, is some different regions, peripheral or something like this. And then in the instant past, the distant past, from the time Lord Buddha came into this world, and as long as his doctrine still existed in the India, that land was settled in terms of both geographic and the Dharma. Geographic Dharma, or the real Dharma place, is like the India's. And when is the Buddha appear, and until the Buddha's passed away, after the few hundred years, and India was both place, the geographic place of the Dharma, and of course in the Dharma, that is we call the center place. Whoever reborn there, they have opportunity to practice Dharma. But of course now, in the place, the geographic place is not different country. But it is the central Dharma, maybe it's wherever Dharma express, that is the Dharma place. And however, now that it has fallen into the hands of the third teacher, and the doctrine of the conqueror has disappeared in that region, it's like disappeared. And of course, after a few years, 100 times, Buddha passed away, there's a lot of problems. And some even in the some sanghas, and also it's like some demons, some reincarnation of some different demons, and be in the sangha to making the split. And then it's like according the different like a kind of the religious, and then they are disappeared many years. Dharma said, far as Dharma is concerned, even Bodh Gaya is at the peripheral place. It's like a little bit really it's happened. I mean, it's once it's like Bodh Gaya, they want to destroy it. And it's very funny. And they destroyed, they couldn't destroy it. They made many times a bomb, and they couldn't to destroy this stupa. And the top of this Bodh Gaya stupa, they destroyed. Then after they collect earth, and then they put under the earth. And this tree, I think 2 or 3 times they cut it. Each time cut it as a gum coming again. And then finally, even they like digged out in the root, they took out, but again coming back this way. But then afterwards, there's one, and it's India occupied by the British. And then there was one, but one is India was the British colony, and that time there's one India, the British one, like, it's like archaeology, scientific, and he found something funny things. I think he was first time in the Ajanta, I heard, I don't know, Ajanta or Ajanta. Ellora is Ajanta. When you go to the Ajanta, it's a very, very nice area. And the trees are completely soft, like, you go to Switzerland, in Tibet, maybe America, trees like grass. You go inside, they never take your, some in the hot areas, most in India, trees, you go to, their needles, very dangerous. But the Ajanta is so fantastic, clean water and everything. But he was there and he's hunting mountains. And the Ajanta, this region is like one is valley, the full of the cave. And also it's like in the cave, there is one is now famous, the Shantadeva's picture, door. Now it's the Makara translation group, they used to outside the Buddha avatar. And then in this side, there's one mountain, and the valley is going like this. And this top of the mountain, he's hunting the animal, and he was there. And he has a few attendants, Indians. And he was there resting and looking in the round. And suddenly on the cave, there's some windows he saw like this. And then he asked, what is in here? Then historically, there are a lot of Buddhist cave, like practitioner was. Then after some Tirthikas came, even they cannot destroy it. They are very diligent. They completely put mud, rock, and cover over it. And then he was very much interested. And then he's more like this. Of course, he's maybe archaeology. And then he asked to the international India government and the British government, can I reveal this history of this India guy, Buddha's teaching? And then 30 years he dig out this place. And now you can to visit. It's like all the caves. There is the Shantadeva's picture, very nice picture wall. And then afterwards, in the Tibetan problems, and they came, then it's slowly, and then it's Bodh Gaya, they took out. And when I came to in the Bodh Gaya is a little like this, around. But that means it's like they took out from the earth. Of course, the before. And then it's all other place. You go to the great university, the Nalanda University, completely destroyed. And then you go to in the Saranath, Varanasi, they are a little bit. Before, it's like I came, before the Tibetan, many lamas or the came, it's almost there's not many. Like kind of the Burma, is like yellow monks. And a little bit there is, but then now it's a lot. Now it's also university. The first Buddha's teaching there is, and then second Buddha's teaching is the Vulture Mountains, completely destroyed. There's the place of he taught the Pajina Paramita. And then is the second university, Bhutamashili University, is completely, almost we don't know where it is. And then it's like you can go to surround. Lumbini is like a birthplace of the Buddha. There's a few ruin out the stupas, But now it's like, because it's Lumbini was wonderful things, because it's the geographically Lumbini was in Nepali. And before the after, I don't know, India. Reality is Buddha, he born in Nepal. Say, I make joke, okay? Last year, a few years ago, there's one Nepal guy. He's like called the new Buddha. Say, Nepal people was very proud. Maybe it's now, I don't know how it's now happened. I have the good news. There's one Nepal guy, one monk, he's become, follow the Sasha tradition, and then afterwards, like, he's sitting on the trees, I think 3 years or something. Again lost, they found it under the tree. 3 years, maybe it's international, everybody is shocked and is searching to, maybe now second Buddhas. And like this, anyways, geographic like this, but afterwards is completely, it's in India, they destroyed. And then it's like slowly it's Buddha's teachings come back from the border. And I heard now it's like a few years ago, maybe 100,000 the Hindus become the Buddhist because they thought we lost some precious culture, precious, because it's like now internationally and worldwidely, it's like really everybody's carrying the Buddha's peace. Even they make the joke in our Europe, some in the different countries, non-Buddhist countries, if they see someone who relax more in the massage or relax place, all the time now putting the Buddha's picture, Buddha's statues. It's what the means is like the peace, means is tranquilities. And the mean is like now worldwide to recognize the most compassionate, most like kind of the great teaching of the philosophy. And Buddha's philosophy, the teachings is extraordinary. Any other kind of religious, the teachers cannot. Maybe different when we look at the different religious teachers, maybe they have one book, two book, and this book is he's like, of course we lost many, but still there's 108 volumes. And this is like really direct his teachings like this. And now it's like recognize, it's more wonderful things. Then they say we need to reveal against India's things like this. And also many, like how do you say, others become the Buddhist, then India has jealous. And also it's like a kind of the holiness. And of course it's like in India they say we need the same as the like holiness. Now the holiness, the Dalai Lama is like almost the representative of the Buddha. Is really like, because of his Buddhism, he is follow up the Buddhas, and then he is really serious to practice this. Then every millions is like follow, visit him, and say them, why not? Really is Buddhas appeared India, Buddha was India, and we lost. We need the same as like one person, Buddha. And then everybody is coming to visit ourselves. And sometimes they kind of take jealous for the holiness. Now they say holiness is not Tibet, holiness is India. Like now revealing this. And even some in the part-timers, India also like kind of them, pre-federal or the place, because it's the Buddha's teachings is lost there. Geographic place, but it's the Dharma place. Not more, but maybe now, yes. And in the day of the Buddha, Tibetan is the land of the snow, was called the border country of the Tibet, because border country, a little bit you can say, is also the like barbarian. It a little bit also is like before the, it's like historically, before the Buddha's teachings came into Tibet, it is a little bit kind of, I would say like the Vikings, Vikings. It is very much warriors and very much at the beginning, during the Buddha was in Tibet, there's not many populations, very small, very air's clean, cold, they're not much to reach each other, different region, different living, and not much the fighting, argued, but then slowly, populations grow up, then it's like says, this is my property, this is your property, oh yeah, and then they war and they like kind of stealing each other, killing each other, destroy. We have each regions there, each kings, so many kings, and so many is like, then they destroying lot each other. Then certainly we have one India guy came, and they like put the king. Maybe you can to decide it to who it is belonging. You can to judge there. This India guy was very funny. We call the first Tibetan king. It is like, and he was in India, one king, son of the king, but he was all that like, connected this between. It's like water birds. And also it's like the eye is like, normal our eyes coming like leap like this, but he's like birds. And then king doesn't want, he hates his son, but of course the family he kicked out it. And then he came to in Tibet and he became the king of first king. And then slowly, and then is Buddhist came, and of course during the Choson descent, then is of course, then we invited the second Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, Shenta Rakchita, and many invited. Then is Tibetans peoples a little bit change, and then it's like a kind of kind of, but because of the Buddha's teaching them, generally in Tibetan peoples are very aggressive, very selfish, very cruel. Also, it's like they kill each other. Like when I'm watching the Vikings, and they make very much warriors. I'm thinking is that before Tibetans a little bit like this. They make war with Nepal, they make war with Kazakhstan, they make war with China, everywhere is, and like this. But then is Buddha's teachings came, most ancient times, intelligent, the big boys, nuns, and the people become the follower of the Guru Rinpoche. Then it's a little bit politically lost. And then it's also it's like we make joke, okay, I don't need, this is nonsense, but afterwards, good, all the children become the follower of the Buddha's teaching. We have a great master, luckily, and the male and the female masters, fantastic. Some children, they don't want to follow the Buddhas. They're a little bit kind of the behave very strange, and they're like very much politicians want to do something. Then they become the holder of the state of the Tibet. Then slowly ruin out the like kind of country. But anyway, at that time it's really in Tibet was wonderful, because it was the sparsely populated land to which the doctrine had not yet spread. And later the population increased, later by little, and the regions, several kings who were emanation of the Buddha. And then after it's like Songtsen Gampo, and also it's like he's more involved the Buddha's teaching. And then is during the Choson days, when he was young, he was very much terrible person. But then he grew up, he became king. Then he become like great. Here is talking about different Dharma kings. That the Dharma first appeared in Tibet during the region of the Latotor Nyansen. One is the king, when he sutta of the 100 invocation and the practitioners no, Lord of the invocation and the prostrations and tsasa mold and other object the fill into the place roofs. And the Latotor Nyensen, the king, and during his lifetimes, some they say it's like falling some text of Dharma in his roof. And there is one is like kind of the Vajrasattva Sadhana. And he is like look at that, and then he was interested. Certainly also he realized something, and then he found the mode of the tassa. And then something is he was very much interested in Buddha's teaching. That moment, and a little bit spread Buddha Dharma teaching in Tibet. Then afterwards, 5 generations later, in accordance with the prophecies, that they would understand the meaning of the suttas. And also it is like Buddha in the sutta, Buddha he says like slowly my teaching doctrine is going to more like kind of the north directions. And like this, there appeared Dharma king Songtsen Gampo. And Songtsen Gampo, during the Songtsen Gampo, of course, quite a lot. Songtsen Gampo is he married, he has 2 wives. One is from Nepali, one is the Chinese. And that time is he's quite collected many the Buddhist like kind of the monument and statues. And he was quite interested. And also it says like he was emanation of the Avalokiteshvara. Anyway, emanation of the sublime compassion once, the Avalokiteshvara. During the Songtsen Gampo's region, the translator Tomi Sambota was sent to India to study its language and sculptures. And his most intelligent minister is called the Tomi Sambota. He sent to in India. And also maybe this, if you research, very nice. And now it's like a lot of talking about, it's like a Tibetan language. Tibetan language, before this Sambota, Songtsen Gampo, he created our language. There are some language, we say it's the Bombo's language. Bombo is like our old religious, the shamanism. And it is like, how do you say, it's like there's a symbolic, it's like sometimes I'm concerned like Egypt. And the ancient letters is like hawks, different birds, animals like this. And also before there is some, we call the in Tibet language, old language, marching on the Bombo language. But there are something, but not really profound, like kind of a little bit symbolic communication, this thing. But then it's like, during the Songtsen Gampo, he is literal, this language completely settled down. And therefore in Tibet language is completely connected to the Sanskrit and the Pali. And both is a combination, and he created this. And therefore sometimes Dharma teaching is in Tibet language very much connected to the Sanskrit. And then it's quite easily to understand. For example, it's the Tibetan alphabet is like really is fixed from in the Sanskrit or Indian language. And therefore at that time is he created this one. And Sambota was sent to the India to study in language and the scriptures. One is the return, introduce the alphabet to Tibetan for the first timers, and how it's like he fixed from the Sanskrit. And in Sanskrit there are quite a lot of the how do you say vowels and how do you call the others? Vowels? Consonants. And then it's like the coding the Tibetan's voice, creation of the language. The first time they listen to voice, the intonations, donations, then they are creating. And then it's like first time he listened to, in Tibetans, like a voice. They, in principle, they have one language. And like a slang language, basic language, nothing written language. But this one is listened, then how he came to create it. Then he created.